Let's talk today about things that you're doing that are killing your happiness, that are preventing you from being as joyful, connected, present, at peace as you could be. And these are unconscious habits that many of us have. And so I want to bring them into the light today, bring the unconscious to the conscious so that we can become aware of them, so that we can work on breaking these habits. And not only that, also replacing them with other habits that are more healthy, serving, helpful, and productive. These are ones that we have been diving into a lot in the Shift Society in my membership program. You can get more information about that in the description. But I also wanted to share them with all of you because they are such big ones that when we start working on them, make a huge difference in our lives. And then again, if you want to take this work deeper and be supported in working these ones through, you can join us in the Shift Society. The information is right down in the description. You can learn more and get on the wait list there. I think you're going to get a lot out of this today. I know for me, when I started breaking these habits, my happiness meter in my life went up. I just started feeling more joy and connection and peace and presence. And again, the members of the Shift Society doing this work, noticing big changes in their lives when they started to become aware of this and then started doing the work to turn them around. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second to introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back again, always good to have you. Say hello. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. The button's about right down there. Turn on notifications so you do get notified when new videos come out. Either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of, like I mentioned, my amazing membership community, the Shift Society, that many of you here now are a part of. So, hey shifters, where we are taking this work to a deeper level. You can get more information in the description below, and where, doing this work and being supported the whole way through. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And these habits really are crap that does hold us back, that gets in our way and prevents us from liking ourselves and our lives. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about these habits, because according to research, 40% of our capacity of our capacity for happiness is within our own power to change. 40%. We have, say, over 40% of just sort of making a few tweaks and adjustments. A lot of it is in how we are thinking and approaching our lives. 40% is in our capacity. That's a lot of percent. And so we're going to work on that 40% today, because many of these things that create unhappiness are taking away from that 40%. The first one is, we're going to start by talking about, there's the 3 C's of illusional desires. And these are 3 big ones that really do take away from our happiness and often make us unhappy. We're going to go into depth in talking about what these are all about. So the first C of illusional desire is thinking that life should be comfortable. So believe it or not, people who struggle to be happy, people who are often unhappy, have a belief that life should always be comfortable. And the reason why this is a problem is because life isn't always comfortable. Life is full of ups and downs. For a lot of people, and I think for everyone at certain points, life is hard. Life is messy. And the more we resist that and kind of get angry about the fact that there are times in our lives that are really hard and really messy, the more suffering we create for ourselves. Understanding that pain as a human being is inevitable, but suffering is optional, because suffering is the resistance of the reality of pain that we go through as human beings. And so this illusion that I need to get to this place, and it's an illusion because there's no such thing. And this is why it creates so much unhappiness, because we think we need to get to this point in our life where we just coast, where everything is comfortable, everything is easy, everything is good. And then we're continuously frustrated because we can't seem to get to that place. And that creates so much unhappiness because it doesn't exist. There are moments, there are periods, there may even be seasons where things are good, but life is full of impermanence. That's what life is. Everything in life and everything about life is impermanent. So our experiences are impermanent. We go through ups and downs in life. And the other thing, when it's talking about trying to get to full comfort, it often wouldn't, if we got there, it wouldn't work well for us as human beings because we are wired to grow. So getting to a point in your life where you've accomplished everything, you've done everything, you've controlled everything, you've set everything up, and now you're just going to coast, you'd get kind of bored. Because we do well when we are growing, when we are expanding, when we are experimenting, when we are experiencing. And so even if there was such a place as full comfort, like a free ride from here on out, you still wouldn't be happy because that's not how human beings thrive. And I'm not saying to just be fine with terrible things that might be happening in your life or that have happened. Absolutely not. But also just acknowledging that life is full of ups and downs. And the more we resist that, doesn't mean that we have to like it, but the more we resist that reality, the greater suffering we create for ourselves. I remember my grandpa, my dad's father, saying one day, who was just like such a lovely man. I remember when he got cancer, and one of my aunties said to him, like, "Dad, this is so unfair. Why you?" And he looked at her and he said, "Why not me? Why do I think, in other words, why do I think I'm exempt from being a human being who is vulnerable to the plights of being a human being? Why not me? Nobody deserves to get cancer. But if nobody deserves it, then why, and people get it, then why not me?" So this isn't to say that it's okay when bad things happen. This isn't to just justify and be like, well, it's all good because, bad things happen to all people. Not at all, but this is about just acknowledging that they do, that we create so much more suffering when we insist that bad things shouldn't happen. Of course they shouldn't happen, but they do. And so the more we kind of resist that, the more suffering we create for ourselves. Like we've talked about before, we don't always have control over our circumstances, but we do have choices within them. And like Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor, said, they can take everything from me except the freedom in my own mind to be able to think how I want to think, to be able to perceive things how I want to perceive things, to be able to experience in my mind the way that I want to experience things. And then the next C of illusional desire that creates a lot of unhappiness for us is our insistence on full certainty. Without even realizing it, so many of us are going through life trying to get certainty. I need to know how this is going to go. I need to know what's coming. I need to know exactly what's happening. I need to know what this looks like. I need to know how it's going to turn out. I need to know what's going to happen in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 minutes. And the reason why this creates so much unhappiness is because there's no such thing ever as full certainty. We can have an illusion of certainty. We can kind of have an idea of how things are going to play out, but we know that it's not guaranteed, which can create this angst for us if we resist that. And I think most of us have kind of, had to come to grips with this illusion in this past, year, 8 or 14 months of the global pandemic, where we're like, we thought we knew how the year was going to go, more or less. We had plans, before the pandemic hit, we're like, we had plans. We have things, we had kind of had this idea of the trajectory of the year. Maybe we had vacation plans. Maybe we had birthday plans. Maybe we had, just sort of an idea. Maybe we had like how our jobs were going to go and what it was going to look like. And then that was all just completely thrown on its head. And realizing how vulnerable we are as human beings and how much of certainty is an illusion. And that's, maybe bad news because it's like, man, nothing is certain, but it's also good news because nothing is certain. So I don't have to rely on that for my happiness. Understanding that, yep, I'm going to go through life and I'm going to continue to show up, knowing that things are uncertain, but what I can do, right? Because nothing, in 10 minutes or in 10 weeks or 10 months is certain. What I can be certain of is how I'm going to show up right now. And as soon as we kind of release this clinging to certainty, in order to be happy, we actually become happier because there is no such thing as certainty. It's that illusion, that kind of cloud up in the sky where you can see it. And so you get close and think you can touch it, but you reach out as you get there to the white fluffiness and you reach out to grab it. You realize that your hand just goes right through because the solidity of it is an illusion. Which brings us to our third C of illusional desire, and that is full control. There's no such thing as full control of anything ever, similar to certainty. But it's interesting how much we sort of align and try to orchestrate our lives around trying to get control. We think that control is going to give us a sense of safety. But again, because in the back of our minds, we know that full control is not possible, we are always feeling insecure, or it's something that we always need more of, right? I need more control, more control, more control. And it's interesting how our desire for control, our push for control, often stresses us out and makes us really anxious. But the reason why we want control is because we want to feel less stressed out and anxious. Because we think if we have full control over everything, then nothing is uncertain, nothing is unpredictable, nothing bad is going to happen, and then I can feel safe and secure. Which is kind of ironic. We stress ourselves out trying to get something that doesn't exist in order to get this thing that doesn't exist to prevent us from feeling really stressed out. There's no such thing as full control ever. We think that control is going to be the antidote to anxiety. The more control I can get, the less anxiety I can feel, but it's actually the opposite is true. The more control I try to get, the more anxious I feel. So what is the solution? The antidote to anxiety is not control. The antidote to anxiety is trust. Trust is scary and it's vulnerable because it's not certain. But the more we build trust, the more secure we feel. Because when we believe that we can trust ourselves and even trust that whatever happens in life, not that everything's going to go perfectly fine and easy and breezy all the time, but building that trust within ourselves that no matter what happens, I will be able to handle it. If building that self-trust is something that you would like to do and learn how to do, I have a guide. It's the simple steps to self-trust. It's in the description below. You can grab that. It's going to walk you through exactly how to build it, the key steps that you need in order to build that self-trust. So make sure you grab that. It's in the description below. So those are our 3 C's of illusional desires that really do impact our happiness, that lead to a lot of unhappiness. So now we're going to go to the next 3, and we're just going to talk about 3 other things that make people unhappy, that may be making you unhappy without even really realizing this habit. And the first one we're going to talk about here is the habit of focusing on what's going wrong versus what's going right. And I'm not talking about being kind of this delusional, like, everything is rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and it's all good and there are no problems, right? I'm not talking about that kind of obnoxious positivity, but I am talking about letting our mind look for the good. Look for the things that are going right. Because the truth is, in most circumstances, there is both. There are things that are not great and there are things that are great. And we often think that by focusing on the things that are going wrong or that are difficult or that are hard or that are bad, right, we're being realistic. But the truth is, why is focusing on this one part of this whole more realistic than focusing on this part of the whole? They're all part of the whole. And now maybe even it's helpful to focus on both parts of it, to have a balanced perspective. I talk about, in the Shift Society, we don't work on like positive thinking, we're working on responsible thinking. Because so many of us just let our brains run rogue into whatever thoughts that it automatically goes through, and we don't take responsibility for those thoughts. We just let our brain do what it does, we go along with it, we feed into it, and then we get stuck in it. And so responsible thinking is about noticing that there is both. And we also get to choose where we want to direct our thoughts. Let's give an example of someone in your life who maybe it's several people in your life. Maybe you have a habit of finding the flaws in other people, picking them apart, noticing what they're doing wrong, what's wrong with them, what irritates you about them, what you find annoying. And so you're focusing on all of those things, but then missing out on the rest of them, the things that you do appreciate and recognize and respect and like about them. And this can just be a habit, right? I used to have this habit. Of just sort of like picking people apart until I realized that it was just, a projection of my own insecurities where I was trying to, put other people down in order to make myself feel better. And, really realizing that that's just not helpful and that I had to do my own work to be able to get over that. But part of getting over it was breaking the habit and stopping myself for looking for the things that were wrong, even like with other people, in my own life, in my, in the work that I was doing. I was always sort of picking apart everything that was wrong, everything that wasn't good enough. And again, came from my own insecurities and not feeling good enough. But we can also, be mindful of that. Be mindful of stopping the habit. As we're doing the inner work to trust ourselves more, to feel better about ourselves from the inside, we can also break those habits on the outside, which is going to stop feeding the beast. Sort of this chicken or the egg kind of thing, where we can break habits on the outside that are feeding our insecurities, and that will help, reduce our insecurities. And then as we feel less insecure, we stop kind of finding everything that's wrong. We stop kind of seeing the world in these kind of pick apart, not good enough, inferior kind of negative ways. And so creating a more balanced view, or even giving yourself opportunities to look at, instead of always thinking about what's wrong, focusing on what's right. The next habit that a lot of people have that leads to a lot of discontent and unhappiness is, we've talked about it here before, comparison. And really how destructive this one is for us. How we look around at what other people are doing and often feel terrible about ourselves because we assume that if someone is doing something that we're not, or that we think we should be doing, that there's somehow something, means something about us, that we are less than, that we're not good enough, that we don't have what it takes, right? Whatever that is. You can even be going on in your life just feeling fine and feeling like you're doing well and things are, going pretty good, and you're showing up and you're moving forward and you're making strides. And then all of a sudden you'll start to look around and see what other people are doing. And you're like, oh my gosh, other people are further ahead. Other people have done more. Other people are more successful. Other people have it more together. And then just by that comparison alone, the thought that what somebody else is doing can somehow threaten or take away from what you're doing, you make yourself feel terrible. Whereas a minute ago, you were feeling okay. Maybe even you were feeling good. So putting those blinders on, like in horse races, the horses have those blinders on so they're not distracted with everything that's going on around them, or whoever is going on around them, that they stay focused on their forward momentum, on what they're doing in the way that they know how to do it. And they don't let the things around them distract them. And that's what comparison is. It's a distraction that throws us off, usually makes us feel pretty terrible, and limits us and holds us back, because then we start to say, well, I can't do this like they do, or I'm not good enough, so why do I even bother? Instead of being like, why I'm bothering is for me, because this is something that's important to me. I want to build this. I want to grow this. I want to accomplish this. I want to have this. I want to learn this. I want to experience this. Because it's important to me, regardless what anyone else has going on. My journey is my journey, and their journey has nothing to do with my journey other than in my thoughts. The only way someone else's journey can impact yours, can take away from yours, is if you think it can. Keeping your eyes on your own trajectory, on your own path, on your own journey. And only using others as inspiration to see what's possible. And then our next often unconscious habit of people who struggle to be happy is the assumption that things are going to turn out badly or not work out. If you have a relationship, a presentation at work, a project that you're taking on, a business that you're starting, whatever that is in your life, that you have this thing and you just assume that it's going to turn out badly, that it's not going to work out, that it's going to fail. And then you feel really unhappy, because if you're going to assume all those things, then chances are you're going to feel really unhappy. And the truth is, again, you don't know, right? There's options for both. It could not go exactly how you want it to go. It could maybe not work out, or it actually also could. And it's interesting, again, how those are both possibilities. Right? They're both equal possibilities, and maybe even in a lot of cases, it turning out good is a lot more likely, but your brain is just kind of grabbing on to the possibility of bad, and that's what you're going to decide to go with. But there are both possibilities, and you're letting your brain go with the one that is making you feel miserable instead of redirecting into the one that isn't. Now, even coming back to the pandemic, where I live at this time and place in history, there are still a lot of restrictions in place. There are still a lot of measures being taken to kind of, still things haven't opened up. There's not kind of full freedom to just go about our regular lives. And, no one's really booking travel. People are kind of needing to stay close to home. That life has not gone back to at least some semblance of normal yet. And nobody actually knows, we haven't been told when it will. And so optional thoughts, I could think, oh my gosh, this is awful. It's never going to end. Something else is going to come up just when things start to get better. Some other thing is going to come up that's going to make things terrible again. And we're never getting out of this. And I could think that, and I could probably feel pretty terrible, but we don't know that. There's no certainty around that. It's not guaranteed. And we just don't know. Or I could think, yep, it's kind of looking at how other parts of the world are doing and kind of what's been going on. I think it's pretty safe to assume that in the next couple months, things are going to start opening up again. We're going to be able to travel again. In a few months, I've actually booked travel for a few months from now. It's all fully refundable if I need to, but I've booked it. I've booked a trip to Hawaii because I'm like, you know what? I want to look forward to that. I want to just assume that that's going to be possible. I'm going to choose to think that if we keep going in this direction, that things are going to get better, that we're going to have more freedom, that we're going to be able to do a lot of the things that we used to do, and that there's going to be a sense of normalcy, that it's coming. Both are optional thoughts. Everything is terrible, it's never getting better, versus, it's coming and it's going to get better soon. Both of them are optional thoughts. No one knows for sure, but which thoughts are going to give me the feelings that I want to have now. So neither of them, we could say that neither of them are delusional thoughts and both of them are delusional thoughts because we don't know. Because we don't have certainty, right? And so I'm going to choose to think the thoughts that are going to give me the feelings that I want to have. And thinking that things are getting better and I'm going to be able to go to Hawaii in a few months, that is giving me feelings that I like having. It's giving me an experience of life that I enjoy having. So that is what I am going to choose to think. So looking at habits, a lot of these thought habits that we might not even be aware of, but how when we continue to let them go on sort of on their own, the more we struggle with our happiness. Which one of these were you like, oh, wow, I totally do that without even realizing it? Okay, I'm going to start working on that. I'm going to start working on not only breaking that habit, but also creating a different habit that is going to lead to more of my happiness, going to help me feel more present and connected and joyful and content. Understanding that 40% of our capacity for our own happiness is within our own power to change. And that comes from our thoughts, our perspectives, our interpretations, how we are seeing things, how we are thinking about things. This is the core of what we do in the Shift Society. We don't just go in there and learn how to think positive. We learn how to see what thoughts and beliefs and perspectives and assumptions are holding us back. And then we undo them, kind of dismantle them, and then recreate, and rebuild them into ones that are more healthy, helpful, serving, productive, and allow us to feel how we want to feel, create what we want to create, and live how we want to live. This is what we do in the Shift Society, taking this work into a deeper level, step-by-step process on how to change our brains, how to shift our brains. If you want to get more information about that, get it in the description below. In the meantime, get that simple steps to self-trust. That is huge for building more of that sense of kind of solid security and kind of sense of groundedness in your life, regardless of whatever or whoever is going on around you. If you found this helpful, can I ask you to like the video? That just helps to get it out in front of more people. The YouTube algorithm likes that. That would be super helpful to me. And then also, if you want to share it out, if there's someone in your life that you think would benefit from this, then please do share this with them. Get this information into as many brains as possible so that we can together make the world a better place, one at least half managed mind at a time. We're going for learning how to manage our minds better and knowing how much that changes not only our own lives, but changes how we're showing up in life, which then impacts the entire world. If more people are showing up with managed minds, it makes the entire world a better place. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on notifications. Always good to have you here. And until next time, take good care.